Everyone calls it empowerment, but behind the mansion parties and the luxury cars, there is a system built to prey on the vulnerable. Victoria saw it up close.
And that was my role, is how do we make girls go as viral as possible, as quickly as possible, to put men into funneling systems, to have them on this path of escalation, to go from maybe, hey, I'm a really good, well-meaning kid, and maybe I just see this thing pop up and it piques my curiosity. But it's because we had hired experts to manipulate algorithms to be able to target the weakest essence of a man. And then before he knew it, he's now on OnlyFans.
And where does that path lead?
And then we know with dopamine cycles that OnlyFans isn't going to work anymore. So then what are they going to go to? And then before you know it, maybe they are purchasing a hooker. Maybe they are doing something that they go into brothels or whatever. And then they're sitting there like, what just happened?
They called it liberation, but she called it what it really was.
It's grooming. That's pimping. Yeah. It's human trafficking.
It's digital pimping, yeah. If you think OnlyFans is harmless, this conversation will make you think again. Hey.
What's going on?
Victoria, so good to see you.
Yeah, it's so good to see you too.
Thank you so much for joining us. Thanks for coming up from sunny Victoria to hang out.
Yep, so sunny.
Yeah. Really warm right now.
Yep.
And you've been in America. You've been just traveling around doing your tours tell us, so others can hear, tell us what you do nowadays, what life looks like now.
Yeah, definitely. So yeah, as you said, I just came back from 3 months in the States. I was touring around, so I get to have just the joy of speaking about testimony, what, I was doing before, what I've come from, what I saw being in that space. And then I get to share just this very radical story of how Jesus totally changed my life in 5 days. So I was touring around. I get to now partner with other non-for-profits in like anti-human trafficking, anti-child trafficking, anti-sex trafficking, anti-porn, all those kind of spheres to just kind of, give the information that I have from what I used to do. And then, I get to talk to youth about porn and, sexuality and all those really fun topics.
Yeah, amazing. I'm so glad there's people like you, and God's just called these, people together, that people are working together and looking to, I don't know, push back against the tide of just crazy porn access and whatever. But okay, you've got us interested. Tell us this 5 day, what happened, the build up, all of that. Tell us your story.
Yeah. So basically, I got saved, I think in August, it'll be 2 years. So it's been a pretty, fresh and radical journey. Yeah. But basically back in about 2022, I would say, my background is in startups and business and marketing and all those fun things. And I was actually working in hospitality startups. Doing crazy work hours. I was working like 100-hour work weeks. And I went to Europe for a month because I was like, I need a break. And while I was in Europe, I had another close personal friend decide that they wanted to start this thing called an OnlyFans agency. And so when I got back home, they were like, hey, we started this business. Would you be interested in building it with us, considering your background in startups, So I was like, okay, OnlyFans. I think that's, a place where you can just like sell your feet. Didn't really know what it was. I've heard that this is like liberating and this is a way that like women make a lot of money. We actually knew girls that were already in OnlyFans and pretty influential, I guess you could say. And so superficially, I looked at this and I was like, well, seems like a legitimate business pathway to take, why not? So I ended up quitting working in hospitality and started working in this startup, which was an OnlyFans agency. And then, if we want, I can kind of like break down exactly what an agency is.
Yeah. So, well, I mean, maybe even just like what's happened at OnlyFans since it started and where it's sort of come to as well. Just so we can all get the journey of what OnlyFans looked like then and looks like now as well.
Yeah, totally. That's actually a really excellent point. I think that the history matters. So in about 2016, OnlyFans had begun, but it's really interesting. So I'm learning, I thought the original intent of OnlyFans was to kind of decentralize social media. And it's really kind of difficult, as we know, to like monetize a platform nowadays, right? So OnlyFans came along and was like, okay, cool. Well, if you like to bake, if you like to, do whatever, you can jump onto OnlyFans. You can have all your content behind a paid wall and you can start to curate this kind of micro community around whatever you're interested in doing. And so that's how my lens of it kind of started, but it had this thing called not safe for work content that it allowed. So not safe for work is kind of the digital word for porn. And so in 2020, it blew up as a porn platform. But what I've now recently found out is even in those early years, OnlyFans was actually going to porn conventions and paying people to sign up to OnlyFans. Yeah. So it's really just an interesting lens of, I wonder if it's always had this intention of being like the new era in pornography. Yeah. Don't really know. But
you follow the money, right? So if this is blowing up, either way, once porn started blowing up, there was no backing away from that.
Yeah, they could have just capitalized on that exactly and been like, okay, this is what it's turned into. But yeah, in 2020, we saw this really just rise as a pornographic platform. I think statistically speaking, I've seen studies that say anywhere from 70 to 98% of all content on OnlyFans now is not safe for work content. And the whole allure of OnlyFans compared to, you know, traditional pornography is that girl that you follow on Instagram. Oh, she has an OnlyFans. Well, now I can actually go and I can direct message her on OnlyFans. So we can have a conversation, we can build relationships, and I can ask her for anything that I want. And so we've now seen it just take off as this cultural phenomenon of men are able to have this like girl next door experience and fulfill any fantasy they want. And I think that that's why it's just totally blown up. So
you break the fourth wall, you get human interaction, or I mean, so you think.
Yeah.
And somehow you can maybe, I don't know, I'm scratching the surface a bit, but maybe what felt even lonelier in porn doesn't feel so lonely because you're getting some, you know, interaction.
Totally. Exactly. So that's like the context of OnlyFans, and what you said plays in so well into explaining what an agency is. So I guess just to break that down for people as well, I kind of like to categorize it into like 3 elements. And so the first element of what an OnlyFans agency is as we're talking about this whole allure of chatting to the person and building relationships in some capacity. Well, if you think about this from like a business perspective, right? Imagine that girl on Instagram that you follow has like 100,000 followers, right? And she's trying to funnel that 100,000 people to her OnlyFans. Well, logistically speaking, she can't sit there and facilitate conversations 7 days a week, 24/7 with all these subscribers that are coming from her Instagram to her OnlyFans. So she has to offset that because you want to be making as much money as possible, right? So
it's pay per interaction. So the more engaged someone is, the more they'll pay for the next level up of whatever.
Exactly. And so that's why girls decided that, okay, I need to like offset all this work. So that's where agencies come in. So an agency's main role is to pretend to be the girl to maximize profit on the account. And so from there, there's all different things. You got your chatters, you got account managers, you've got people that are coming on. Basically, it's like a digital pimp. And their role is to basically make sure that the girl is doing all her content requirements. She's, you know, fulfilling all of the custom requests that are on the account. They're training chatters in this thing called like the girlfriend experience. Chatters for people that,
explain both those terms, the girlfriend experience and chatters. I mean, it seems, you know, self-evident, but let's,
just in case. Because still not many people know that chatters exist. It's wild, right?
I thought it was AI now. I would have assumed.
Mate, that's like another rabbit hole we can go down of the fact that it kind of is now AI, but there's something about when we were at the agency, we were having those conversations about AI. You can't beat human interaction, you know? And so I'm sure that there's an element of both mixed into it. But people will just always triumph a robot. But chatters, when I was working there, now AI has obviously blown up a lot more, is cheap labor that you hire from like third world countries. So ours were from the Philippines, and they're just people that work for like $1 to $5 an hour for like 12 to 16 hours a day, 6 to 7 days a week. And it's a commission role. So their job is to pretend to be the girl and to make as much money off subscribers as possible. And we train them in this thing called the girlfriend experience. And so that's literally, how do you make a subscriber think that this girl is your girlfriend, you know? And so there's so much manipulation and coercion that goes into that. And so, the main...
Playing on vulnerability,
Yeah, exactly. And so that's why it's such a such a huge, I think, conversation about like how targeted men are in this industry. And, a lot of people think that men are just the bad guys, but there's
Hey, if you're loving this conversation, don't forget you can sign up for our monthly newsletter. Deep questions, honest answers, and just one email a month. You can sign up at lovequestionspodcast.com or the link is below.
I'm just looking at this whole thing, like in my lens, probably yours, maybe yours too, of like the human soul. So here's this one human soul, the girl who's in the middle of it. Well, she's just getting constant communication like, here's what your value is. It's what you do sexually in front of a camera. That's who you are. Like that's your value add to society. Then you got developing world folks who are being told we can pay you provided you effectively sell all morality and manipulate a human.
Yeah.
So no worries, you can pay the bills, but make sure you just do our manipulation for us. And then you've got the dudes who are watching it and there's something in their soul that's like, I would prefer this, even though it's got to be cognitive dissonance. Like I'm interacting with some young person who I never really know on a computer to fulfill my social and sort of biological needs. But still, I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
At what cost to your soul? I'm just like, this whole thing is so tweaked.
Yeah.
And it's tweaking everybody, but like no one's been red pilled. Everyone's just walking around, this is just like entertainment. This is just life. This is 2025. Like,
yeah.
Crazy.
It's wild.
This is not okay. This is like not normal. It's not okay. This is just weird.
It is.
And it's hurtful to people. Yeah.
It's destroying people's lives. It's destroying in this entire ecosystem. People think that the sex industry is a solution to a problem. They think that, guys are going to do this anyway, so girls might as well make money off of them. Or, there's an easy way to make money nowadays. Or it's, the pinnacle of success is to sell yourself sexually. And it's like, all this is doing. And then for men, exactly, well, it's biological. They need a release. This is healthy for them. Yeah. And
it's not hurting. This isn't hurting anyone. It's just, I'm just entertaining myself.
Exactly. Yeah. But it's actually destroying people. Like you're 100% correct. Yeah. And that's,
it always just blows my mind like that. Once you see it, you're like, oh, this is so clearly just tweaked. But it's like when people are in it, there's these like one sentence little justifications that people are satisfied with. Like that one, like it's not hurting anybody.
Yeah.
I know so many people who are like, come on. And then there's just one sentence. And as long as you don't go any deeper than that, they're just totally okay to live.
Yeah.
The justification works.
Yeah. There's a great counter argument that I actually have to that. And just for like anyone listening that's like, well, is it hurting anyone? There's like two things I'll say on that. Number one, even just on, I think, traditional like mainstream porn platforms, statistically speaking, I think it's 88% of porn that is actually violent porn. I saw another study that was saying that the first thing that you search up as well when you just go onto any porn platform, it's violent porn. If you want to see anything in quotation marks vanilla, it's like on the 5th and 6th page. So imagine if the average age of pornography exposure is like, 7 to 9 years old in Australia and in the US. And so children are now getting indoctrinated with violent porn towards women. What do we think that's actually doing to them?
Well, I was just I had a podcast with a sexologist, medical doctor, and she was effectively saying teenagers are fleeing womanhood. They're like getting exposed to porn young and they're saying, if that's a woman, well, I don't want to be a woman. I don't want to be treated like that. And so there's this huge social contagion. We're seeing like massive sort of trending moments in different pockets of communities around girl to boy transgenderism. And there's the potential that it's linked to just not wanting to experience what they've perceived womanhood entails, which is, be on the blunt end of violent porn.
Yeah.
Who would want that?
And like even on just like a micro level of there's that, and people might go, well, that's an extreme, that's an anomaly. It's like, well, number one, it's not. But then I literally was caught up with a girlfriend this morning and we were going for a walk and she was saying to me the struggles in, I guess, like a non-Christian lens of, I'm trying to figure out this faith thing, but babe, if I want to get a husband, I have to sleep with the guy on the second date because he thinks that I'm not interested in him unless I'm having sex with him. And then I'm so pressured because they think that it's so normal and we're so sexualized. So even if I'm trying to follow these values and but who verbatim, what man is going to respect me enough to not want to have sex with me before I'm married? That's twisted. That is going to, like, both of those things, they're so common. And that is so sad that just from porn, this is what, and so it's not hurting anyone, but we can already see in our culture this scale of how it's bleeding into youth, young adults, older people, like of just this warped lens on what a healthy relationship and what your value should be, you know?
Break down any, any facet of human life. So biologically, young boys raised on porn have a higher rate of anhedonia. Literally, it's like the inability to ever experience pleasure.
Oh,
because they've been just dopamine burnt out. Sex, a dear friend, sexologist, amazing guy, got a PhD in pornography and its effects. He says it this way, he says, we were not created for an amusement park. We were created for a garden. We were created to have a life that was kind of semi-stable, that involved like slow things that took time, that involved courtship, that involved developing a relationship, that involved waiting, and that might have these peak moments where you jump on a roller coaster. But kids these days live in the amusement park.
Yeah.
What it does is burn out your dopamine receptors, burns out your neurochemistry, and all of a sudden, that's the only way you can experience some kind of like positive emotion in life, positive psychological experience, is when you have these crescendos that were just meant to be rare, kind of like not all the time. And then anhedonia develops. Like, well, since that's become my baseline, everything else is just flat. Listen, I'm in high school all the time teaching young people. I can't give you evidence for this other than these anecdotes, but I see it on the faces of teenage boys. 97% by 13 are probably watching porn if the stats are true in Australia. And I think that's right. And their faces are just glum. They're just like deadpan, no reaction. I've noticed the shift.
Yeah.
And so it's bad for the individual on a biological level. Obviously, relationally, it's terrible in the sense that treating you as an object to be violent towards it, that's so far at the opposite end of anything I would tell a young man about sex. Here's what, and where again, the work I get to be around young guys. And you'll be happy to know there is a rising response to all of this craziness. But here's what I would tell a young man. That woman is the most precious thing on planet Earth. You are to fight for her protection.
Yeah.
You are to fight to give her the gift of all that you are. You actually show extraordinary trustworthiness when you have the power of sexual attractiveness, the power of procreation, and you restrain power. And you allow her to see what power under control looks like. That's a real man. Someone who has the capacity to do all of that and restrains. That's called manhood.
I'm going to cry. Yeah.
I had a guest on here. She was talking about the Twilight experience. This was Edward. He was irresistible. Why? Unchecked power. Restrained for the sake of his love. Yeah. That's called a man.
Yeah.
And probably society was crying out to actually see what a man looks like, as opposed to an instantly self-gratifying fellow with no self-control who just wants to grab, take, protects nothing other than self-interest and self-gratification.
That's a dangerous person.
That's not even a child. That's a poorly trained child.
Yeah.
And I'm committed to raising young men. How different that looks. So relationally, it's bad. Look, talk about your soul. There's no way you can ever foster a healthy marriage with what porn trains you about sex. Your spirit is just never created to use and abuse.
Yeah.
Your spirit was created to connect. Two were meant to become one. You treat a woman like a part of your body, like an extension of you. And your soul, I just don't think your soul can handle that.
Yeah, it's such a valid point. And like for people, I don't know if this is like a controversial thing to say, but as you were talking, all that was like screaming in my mind is like, I have such a heart for young men and young men in this culture because we need more role models like this. We need more countercultural voices that are like I was having a conversation the other day on, well, we talk so much about what is a woman and that's like a huge, but what is a man? What is manhood? What is healthy masculinity? And I believe that in the rise of feminism, a positive of it is that a woman actually does have the capacity to be any archetype that she wants. We can be empowered to be the boss babe. We can be empowered to be the trad wife, just to generalize right now, right?
The two extremes, yeah.
Yeah. And then there's everything in between that, right? And so there's always a category and a place and a space for a woman in society to fit into a particular archetype. But for men, you're either an Andrew Tate, or you're like a simp, or you're a gym bro, or you're an athletic guy, or you're this rich finance tech dude. Like, what category do men have to be championed to fall into? What role models do they have in society to say, hey, that I actually want to aspire to, but that guy seems cool. I really like his morals and values. That's where my heart goes out to men. It doesn't excuse the behavior. And I think that there has to be a level of accountability. But in saying that, I think that in this conversation around how do we attack the problem, not the person? Because the problem isn't male and female, right? It's not that all men are bad or that these boys are trash and they're hurting women. The problem is this $97 billion industry that's destroying young men. But it's like, how do we then have a solution to that by championing men who do have these morals and values to be role models for these guys? So then they have a reference point.
Totally.
You know, and I think that that's a huge part in this, I guess, activism world that I'm in, or in this debate that is not really spoken upon enough, you know?
Well, I think as always, God has an answer.
Yeah.
You know, you've probably seen the data out of the US. I think it's similar here in Australia. Bible sales blowing up.
Yeah.
Barna just researched that people coming to Jesus in Gen Z and millennials, massive hockey stick up in the last sort of 2.5 years, 3 years.
Yeah.
Driven by Gen Z males. So there's
I didn't know that part. That's sick.
Mostly millennial and Gen Z males are like coming back. So all the things that sort of have come against them, I suppose, is training them. Okay, there's got to be something better. There has to be something more meaningful. There has to be something I can cling to. And when you discover that there's an ancient faith with ancient morals that are good for you, good for people, that call out in you purpose, like something to live for, that you're valuable, that you were predestined and called to join an army and win an important victory and rescue people and lay your life down for a cause, it is like irresistible.
Yeah.
Especially when I think, the effects, the negative impacts of what we would call toxic feminism would be, or I would call it that, would be if you're a young male, particularly if you're white and you're 14, you have grown up being told subconsciously, you're the problem.
Yeah, totally.
You are the reason the world is what it is. You should apologize for existing, make reparations for the disgraceful nature of your very being.
Yeah.
And you can't hear that for long enough without wanting something more. And fortunately, people are coming to Jesus. Interestingly, coming to Orthodox, traditional, like Catholic Orthodox
faith. Isn't that wild?
Yeah, they want the substance, they want the ritual, the stuff that's like, I don't know, unchanging, that's ancient. Yeah.
Yeah, it is. It's so spectacular. And it is, the pendulum is swinging. And it is, I believe, going from like, people are just looking at our world and our culture and going, nah, like that's not it. Yeah. And like we need some sort of like faith. We need a reference point. We need an anchor. Like there has to be more out there.
Yeah. Is it working? Is the sexual revolution working?
Yeah.
And I think most people are like, I don't think so.
Yeah.
Actually, agnostic or atheist feminist writers are actually coming out now saying, look, the sexual revolution failed. It did not work. It didn't liberate women. It actually enslaved them to other things, whether that's sexual subservience or sexual violence or other things. I mean, what blows my mind is all the noise about DV, about domestic violence. It's obviously a huge problem. No one wants it. No one wants violence taking place in the home, men hitting women. I'm sure there's the reverse too, but largely it's men hitting women. And we're like, okay, yeah, we all agree with that. But talk about restricting porn. Everyone's like, oh, no.
Yeah.
Well, connect the dots. It's not super complicated.
Yeah. It's crazy,
if you
isn't
train
it?
men from 9 years old on violent porn and then they act out what they've watched for 10 years and we're like, oh, shocking. Like, quick, lock them up. Like, well, what do you think's going to happen?
Yeah, it's so true. I have, there's an organization in the States that I work with called Demand Disruption. And so they actually, because purchasing of sex is illegal in America, right? So they intercede at the point of arrest with a lot of these men that are purchasing sex. And Joe talks about this and he goes, yes, of course you have like your monsters, right? Yeah. But majority of these men, when you sit down, because they're not a part of law enforcement. They're like a Christian organization that just want to have that heart to heart, right? Of like, dude, if you want to talk about what's going on, like we're here for you, because there's a journey of restoration that needs to happen for you to be at that point where you're purchasing someone for sex. And like Joe talks about, he'll sit there across from these guys and majority of them burst into tears and they just go, I don't know how I got here. You know, maybe I was married. Maybe, you know, I am a pastor, maybe whatever it is. And I got here. And I think it plays into, this is, talk about a perfect segue. I just impressed myself. Sorry.
You're such a professional.
Wow. I was like, this plays so perfectly into, I guess, the second element of an agency, which is the marketing. And this was the intentional marketing strategies that we would have. And that was my role, is how do we make girls go as viral as possible, as quickly as possible, to put men into funneling systems, to have them on this path of escalation, to go from maybe, hey, I'm a really good, well-meaning kid, and maybe I just see this thing pop up and it piques my curiosity. But it's because we had hired experts to manipulate algorithms to be able to target the weakest essence of a man. And then before he knew it, he's now on OnlyFans. And then we know with dopamine cycles that OnlyFans isn't going to work anymore. So then what are they going to go to? And then before you know it, maybe they are purchasing a hooker. Maybe they are doing something that they go into brothels or whatever. And then they're sitting there like, what just happened? You know, where.
Totally. I had a friend of a friend. He was a military guy and he went to Cambodia to, I guess, serve Jesus, but come against the sex trafficking industry. Basically wanted to rescue the girls. He said he got there and for the first 6 months, that was what it was all about. But having been immersed in that place long enough, he just developed a heart for the men. He realized that all the guys who were the perpetrators were just lost, were hurting, were broken, and there was something missing. I mean, and that's just a perfect picture of sin in Christianity, where all of us, we are the victims of sin and we are the perpetrators. It's not one or the other. We're both. We need to repent from where we perpetrated sin, but we also need healing for where we've been victim to its painful claws. And so for men, I mean, for everyone, we all deeply need, it's like a fundamental need to have acceptance, be valued, and to belong. And when you're lacking any of those three, sexual interaction is like the quickest way to feel like you might not be
to validate
valued,
yourself,
but to feel like you're at least belonging somewhere, to feel like validated, to feel something. It's such a shortcut to that. In fact, I'll make the point, most promiscuity, most like desire to act out sexually in one way or another is usually born out of like, I'm missing something, a relationship. Quite often it's daddy issues.
Yeah.
So often it's like stuff that I never got at home that was meant to set me up. I didn't get it. And so I found it somewhere else. And sex was the way that was found. And that could be like, you know, teenage person acting out, but it can be the same, these guys who are lonely, who are like just deeply missing something.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, you'll get me tangenting. Guys don't have sex before marriage. No, but like that's the crux of this. But no, in like honestly, I guess like reckless vulnerability, man, it's so true. And I think that the more I have conversations now with people that aren't of faith, or maybe that they're still in that realm of sexualizing themselves to some capacity, maybe they're having sex or whatever it is, you can now see from that lens of you do not understand your value. You do not understand how precious you are. Because if you understood the value and the cost that was paid for you, oh my gosh, you hate it. I was actually thinking about this as I was driving here, and I was thinking about just like sex in general, and like the conversation, as I said, I had before with one of my friends, and she was saying that she feels like she could never find a good guy because no guy would be interested if she said that she would wait. And I was sitting there and I'm like, we have to hate this because all it does is literally just destroy people's sense of value, people's sense of worth. And coming from someone that was that way to coming into the world now, you just go, it's like this brokenness that's inside of you and you think that it's going to fulfill you, but it literally does just the total opposite. It just destroys you. It chips away at you and you think that you need it more to feel even better about yourself, and then you feel worse. And it's just one of those things that just absolutely destroys your very essence, you know?
Yeah. So people just so often misunderstand. You get these like soundbite rebuttals to the Christian faith, like, oh, you just don't bring your morals here, don't bring your sort of religious morality here, not realizing we're talking about love for people, believing that we actually have been shown a better way, not because we're on some moral high ground. Actually, we're as bad as anyone else. We were rescued and shown another way, a better way, and now we want others to have that better way. It's not like moralistic, like don't do this because you shouldn't. It's like leave that behind because there's something better for you. Can I read what C.S. Lewis said about this? You'll love this quote. He says, if we consider the unblushing promises of reward and the staggering nature of the rewards promised in the Gospels, it would seem that our Lord finds our desires not too strong but too weak. We're half-hearted creatures, fooling about with drink and sex and ambition, when infinite joy is offered us. Like an ignorant child who wants to go on making mud pies in a slum because he cannot imagine what is meant by the offer of a holiday at the sea. We are far too easily pleased.
It's so good, isn't it? Like for anyone as well that's listening, and maybe you are like kind of half in, half out, you don't really get this Jesus thing. You think that it's like, I don't know, I have to give up all this stuff. There's all these rules. That encapsulates so perfectly, doesn't it? Like now that we're like on the other side, to put it like in plain terms, right? You see all of these frameworks of what the world tells you is exactly enough, positive, fun, all the things. And you go, oh my gosh, it's trash. It is incomprehensible that a year and a half ago or 2 years, I thought that drugs, alcohol, sex, partying, all of that was the way. That was the pinnacle of success.
I'm free.
Yeah, I'm free. Yeah. Oh my gosh. And then you come now through this lens.
At what cost?
Exactly. And it's like, guys, Jesus isn't this thing that comes and he strips all this fun away from you and he tells you this like book of rules. He is unfathomable, incomprehensible love that in his reckless love for you wants the best for you. And where our little teeny tiny brains cannot comprehend that all of these things that we're talking about are bad for us. But when you do it, you know what I mean?
I don't get to eat mud pies. I want to eat the mud pie.
Bro, there's a whole private island waiting for you.
Like, what do you, okay, just ditch the mud pie for 5 seconds is way better.
Yeah.
Totally. Yeah. It's so true. I'm like, I mean, maybe some people fall away and that's probably possible. That is possible and it happens. But I'm like, I was in the world. I had, in some ways, I mean, I was a mess. I was addicted to alcohol and drugs and blah, blah. But in some ways I'd hit some pinnacles. Like I was a doctor. I had, had a beautiful girlfriend, could travel, blah, blah, blah. So on a lot of fronts, you're like, okay, this is actually really good. I wouldn't trade a thing for the chance to live a life, to pour my life out, to love others. I'm like, you couldn't pay me enough to like, Elon Musk could not give me all his net worth that would stop me that would want me to help me. Elon Musk could offer me his whole net worth and it would never be enough. Yeah. Compared to like one interaction with my daughters, with some stranger I don't know, telling them about Jesus. It is just worth it. Yeah.
I have like, there's two things that popped in my mind when you said that, but a lens that I think as well is really important for people to kind of hold on to that. And to be honest with you, already being thrown it so early on in my faith journey into, I guess, like very public ministry, right? Yeah. The amount of noise and advice that people, well, Vic, like to be able to forward your mission, you should do a book. You should reach out to this, but this person's on brand with you. And there's all these, even in the Christian world, there is such an idolizing of the stage, of platform, of building yourself and all this. And I've had to learn really quickly on how do I build such a deep foundation with the Lord. And what's really helped me in that is an eternal perspective. And I don't believe look, to be honest with you, I feel like it's not talked about that much. And I'm going through Acts and I'm reading about Paul, and I'm like, there was something that was anchoring him, right, to going through all of this and knowing what he's going to get at the end. And it talks about in scripture how you look at all these things and it's trash. And I think that for people listening, I really just want to encourage them as well. Think about that. I think so often of I'm doing all of this, so when I die and I see Jesus, dude, I don't want well done, good and faithful servant. I want him to come up to me and like give me the biggest handshake, and go, you crushed it.
Yeah.
And we get to sit on this porch, the Lord and I, and we get to reminisce in eternity about all the memories that we made here on earth. And as we're sitting there and we're talking about all the things we got to do, PJ walks past. Dude, do you remember when we did this? You get someone else, they will, dude, do you remember this? Like, and you have forever. I can't even comprehend forever to think about the things that we got to do here. And for me, that's my anchoring. Because then, you know, if, should I message that? Oh, should I take the money for that? Should I? I go, no. Because when I have an eternal perspective and I think about what the reward is, and we're kind of talking a little bit before off camera about like the crushing, right? Because there's the reward, but then there's also the stripping. And I think that that's what people struggle with.
Yeah.
And there's such a misconception in faith that it is an easy walk. But again, going back to Acts, mate, we're not promised anywhere that it's easy. Yeah. And like, again, these past 5 weeks, like I'm talking about guys, like got into faith, speaking America, like all this, but even just the past 5 weeks has been the most crushing experience of my life. Like it has been horrific. And no one wants to talk about that either in this faith journey. And so it kind of encapsulates what we're all talking about of people like, well, it's really hard. Yes, it is. But again, have that eternal perspective because that is the most priceless thing. It is worth so much more than the sex and the drugs, than the photo and insert vice, right? Yeah. And I think that that's really, for me, that's been really helpful in this journey of when temptation arises, of like an actionable, I guess you could say, for people to just go think about eternity, you know, and it puts a reverence in you, but it puts like this excitement in you as well, you know.
This Paul you speak of, you know, he's such a central character in the book of Acts. He's in jail, I think, when he writes to the Philippians, and in Philippians 3, he effectively says, or almost verbatim, he says, these things that I once thought were gain, I now count as loss. And he goes further. So all the things that I thought were good, now I consider them just loss. He says, actually, I consider all things, everything, to be a loss when I compare it to the surpassing value of knowing Christ Jesus, my Lord, and now go on to count everything as mere garbage.
Yeah.
Compared to knowing him. That lens, that's not just one little sentence in scripture. That lens changes everything.
Yeah.
Because if I'm like gauging my satisfaction with Christianity based on the circumstances that come into my life, and if you get bad teaching on prosperity, bad teaching on like life without a reference to suffering, then you can actually gauge your spiritual health with how much good stuff's coming your way. But his lens is just, the scriptural lens is so different. It says, whatever comes, my prize is knowing him. That's my prize.
Yeah.
So when good stuff comes, okay, well, that's just kind of irrelevant in the sense that knowing him is my prize.
Yeah.
When bad stuff comes, knowing him is my prize. This stuff is just peripheral.
Yeah.
Because you can't take him from me. You can't take my prize. You know, my friend asked me this question. It changed everything. Victoria, if I asked you, what would you like as your reward for all of your faithfulness? What would you say?
Jesus.
Him.
Jesus.
He's the prize. Yeah.
He's the prize.
He is the prize. Well, you can have your prize now. I mean, not fully, but you can focus on your prize now. I mean, we see in part, well, then we'll see in full. But like, so if you have a bad day, nothing touches your prize, like your main thing. But how subtle is it when you, as a Christian, you make these other things like still the prize, and then you can really go through the life's ups and downs, and it hits you a lot harder.
Yeah, totally.
But when he's the prize, it doesn't hit you like that.
Yeah, I think like just another personal anecdote, like hopefully again to encourage people, like in all situations, you get to see the different facets of God. So just say I just spent the last 3 months like overseas, right? Mm-hmm. And again, the financial miracles for that stuff to happen, like I came to the Lord and the Lord was like, you're emptying your bank accounts. You're going to zero. You're not working. You're not, like, the amount of sacrifice that I've had to make. But I got to see that if it's God's will, there is nothing that will stop that from happening, right? And you are so safe with Jesus. You are so safe. And just seeing the grandness and the bigness when I'm on these trips so far of how he orchestrates, how intentional he is. But then coming back home, the crushing that I have had, the stripping of everything from this high, right? And then I've come here and every single asset of my life, my health, my family, finances has all been gone. But as you said, what has come from that is the deep inner work, the prize. All through this, Jesus has just ripped out all those things within me, the validation, the insecurities, feeling of loneliness, whatever it is that needed, and it only would have happened if it came through this crushing, right? And so now that I'm kind of on the other end of this, I see a different facet to God. My relationship with him is deeper. I'm more in love with him. I understand more of how much he loves me, that he would do all of these things, even when things are so hard. He didn't leave me. He actually loved me more, like in my comprehensive way of it. And so I just hope that encourages people as well, to not always just focus on, well, if I become a Christian, everything has to be good because God has to grace me and all these things. But even in these really hard moments, you actually get more of a richness and more of a fullness and understanding of your prize, of who Jesus is. And it makes you love him so much more that, as you said, you can have the highs, you can have the lows, all the things. And you just go, every single event brings you closer to Jesus and a different asset of who he is. Totally. And it's just the most, again, there's no amount of money that would ever be able to exchange for the highs and the lows because it brings you closer to Jesus,
Totally. His voice hits different in the valleys.
Yeah, it does.
It really does. It's like there's like a warmth to it. There's like I don't know, there's something of his divine protection that you're like, oh my goodness, I'm literally surrounded. The only way I'm not getting gobbled up by this crushing, this fire, whatever you want to call it, persecution, whatever it is, the only way I'm not getting swallowed up is that he is sustaining me by holding me in his hand.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, I'm in his hand, like right now.
You're like, wait, what?
Yeah. Okay, so I think we got to point 2 of 3 with marketing for OnlyFans. Is that where
we did? We totally sidetracked that, but it actually plays in. It is. It's so just to kind of like, I guess, tie that in for people that are listening and are going, and then we'll get into element number 3. I hope that this is encouraging for people, because I think that it's great that we're wanting to be honest with people and say, hey, look, this journey is difficult. So if you are maybe sitting here and you are struggling with porn or you're struggling with insert whatever, guys, Jesus is going to be the best option for you. It is going to be difficult, and we don't want to sugarcoat that. But as we're saying, in the difficultness, that's actually where you find him more. So I hope for, again, anyone listening, this is so encouraging to be like, man, I can do it.
Yeah,
I can do the hard things.
Run to him in the difficulty, not try and run away from him, get the difficulty fixed so you can come to him.
Yeah.
That'll never work.
Exactly.
We can't get past sin without him. Without him, we are enslaved to sin.
Yeah.
He's the only chance of liberation. He's the one with the power. He's the one with the solutions. It's his blood that pays the price, that gets us free. So go to him in the mid. I think I might have told you this. I used to, when I was addicted and stuff, I used to smoke cigarettes. And when I came to Jesus out of a rehab, like I got radically touched, anxiety, I got delivered from anxiety, delivered from addiction to alcohol and drugs.
Yeah,
but cigarette smoking stuck around. And by this stage, I'd like started church work. I was around young people, and I'm still smoking. And my shame levels were just getting higher and higher. So I did all the things you do. I like jumped on patches, jumped on Nicorette, all these things. And I would just, anyway, it wasn't working. And I was just getting more and more frustrated and feeling like lower. And I remember just reaching a point, I think I'd like bought a fresh packet of cigarettes after throwing the other ones out again. It was getting expensive.
It's the worst cycle, isn't it? I totally empathize with you on that.
So bad. So anyway, so I get to this point, I'm like, I realize, I'm like, oh, I actually can't do this. I'm like, oh, I actually have tried everything I know and I can't do this. I can't describe it, but it was like freedom. I was like, oh God, I can't do this. So the only way that I'm ever getting off cigarettes is if you do it.
Yeah.
There's nothing in me that has the ability to stop smoking. I've tried for 6 months. Everything, like willpower, strength, you name it, I've tried it. So here we are. I guess
you're going to have to do something.
So then when I would go light a cigarette, instead of just like pretending God wasn't there, like he's not looking, I would just smoke and do what I normally do, which is just talk to him.
Yeah.
Like, all right, Jesus, you're going to have to take this one because thanks for taking it. And that was it. Well, within 2 weeks, no patches, no Nicorette. He shifted the desire. I didn't want to smoke anymore.
Oh,
and it was
so good.
It was like an object lesson in grace.
Yeah.
You can't do it. He can. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. So, it is. It's so true. And so again, like, I just feel so deeply, just to encourage people with that. You don't have to clean yourself up before you come to him, even as you're struggling with these things. Like I remember I got, very radically touched and walked away from my life in 5 days. But within those maybe next 6 weeks, I still bended drugs 3 times. I still did things that I really struggled with. But Jesus didn't forsake me. He was like, that's okay. Like, exactly. We're going to get through this. And I think that for everyone, especially in this area that we're talking about, like the amount of people that tell me, oh, I could never give up having sex. Oh, that's too much. Watching porn? No, I couldn't do that. Like that's the too hard basket. It's like, no. As you just put so perfectly, like just come to him, bring him into it. You can talk to him and just say, Jesus, I don't think I want to do this anymore. It doesn't make me feel very good. Can you help me? Can you teach me? Can you show me? And he will. Yeah. And it's actually as simple as that, I
like to, there's a nuance in there that I really, because I've seen this a lot, and it's, the best way to like explain the difference between these two different ways of approaching it is like, if I use the drug example. So there'll be some folks, and it's like exactly what we're talking about. Like, I do not want to, I wish I could stop smoking pot. I just don't know how. It feels, or like watching porn or whatever. It feels like it's so a part of me. I just don't know if I'll ever be able to stop. But Jesus, because you've said that this is not for me, it's a yes from me, please help me. That is like, that's called repentance. I believe that is, there's grace on that. There's a subtly different thing that looks the same, which is this. Well, this has always been a part of me, and God wants me to do this, and he would never ask me to stop it.
That's a big fat lie.
It's a big fat lie.
Yep.
But so many people are like
that.
justifying sin, and it looks so, like he's a compassionate God. He's graceful. He gets me. No, he gets you. He just hates sin.
Yeah. Like, as we were talking about before, hates sin.
Sin killed God's son. He's not dispassionate about sin. It put his son on the cross. He really cares about it. He hates it, but he loves you. So he wants you out of its claws. He doesn't want to keep you in its claws and put some weird smearing grace covering on it. He wants to lead you out of it. Now, it might be a journey out, but if you're going through hell, keep going.
Yeah, totally. I think that's,
don't justify a life of sin.
Well, I don't even think we're going to get to point 3, but this is really important. This is such a huge element. Again, I think in this lens and sphere that we're talking about in like sin and all these different things, and God graces me for it. There needs to be a reverence for God. And you know what's, again, an actionable. I don't know. I find that I personally struggled coming into faith. And I feel that people just kind of slap Christianese terms at you and you're supposed to understand them, but you don't really. And there's not a lot of actionables. And so something that is.
You are so startup, by the way. You are like, hit the metric, get it shipped.
Yeah,
do it. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I really like startups.
Yeah. It's like 10xing accountability in your life. You're like, no one's going to do this for you. Get it done.
Yeah.
No excuses. If you don't do it, you'll fail. Like that's it. That's startup life. It's
Yep, it's so true. But this has really, really helped me. And I think that I've been really blessed to have such a reverence for God from the beginning. But to 10x my reverence for the Lord, communion. So if you're, again, maybe someone that's really struggling and maybe you have this lens of like, well, I can do this and God, forgives me. What I've been doing almost every single day for the past couple months is I sit there and I have bread and I have juice or whatever, and I actually envision Jesus on the cross. And I sit there and I heard, I think it was Lou Engle said this. There was a an event that was on at Bethel when I was there, and he was holding the bread and the wine, and he goes, what if we just believed that this really was the body and blood of Jesus? I don't know what that did within me, but now I hold these elements and I go, and I visualize the broken body of Jesus, and I visualize the blood, and I spend time on the body and on the blood, and I picture him on the cross, and it puts such a reverence within me of like, oh, this is what you did. Because a lot of people, I think that people make an allowance for sin because they don't have the true revelation of understanding the significance of the cross. And so just do that every single day for as long as it takes, but something will shift within you. And I think that there will be such a deep element of reverence for what Jesus did on that cross. And it's going to break your heart in such a beautiful way that then you're going to look at these things and just go, I can't do that. You're going to visualize him on that cross and go, how could I touch that? How could I do that when Jesus did this for me, you know?
Victoria, it's not just, you know, like truly beholding the cross. It's not just that it shifts our perspective on sin. It shifts our perspective on everything. So, I said, sort of touched on this before, so many Christians are walking through life letting circumstantial moments define their contentment. Like I'm having good days and bad days. Like I'm rolling the dice. Will it be a good day or a bad day? Like as though somehow the circumstantial favor or good moments indicate that like I'm doing well. That is such an inferior KPI. That's the worst.
Thank you for the business term.
Yeah, you're welcome. Let's make it real.
Yeah.
Behold the crucified Son of God. For me, I deserved hell, and God sent his son to pay the price to give me heaven. Now, no matter how you look at it, I'm the winner. I've won the biggest lottery you could ever win. I'm the chosen one.
Yeah.
I deserve to die. I was given life. I deserve brokenness because I chose it, and he's given me wholeness. He's given me eternity. And the way he gave me that price was he paid Jesus instead. Beaten beyond recognition as a human, bloodied, mashed, suffocating on the cross so that I can live.
It just wrecks you.
If anything else defines how much God loves me, I'm getting ripped off. But Christian, we do this all the time. I'm not feeling his love right now. Then meditate on that. Take communion. Think about what he went through, because there's no greater love than that.
Yeah.
I actually believe he spoke to me on a mission trip years ago, and I just this picture of the cross was there, and the crucified Jesus, and I hear in my spirit, if this is not enough for you, nothing ever will be.
Oh, it's
like,
so true.
No circumstance will ever give you a greater sense of his love.
Yeah.
And so if anyone's hearing this, if you're not feeling the love, and it happens, life can have its curveballs, consider his cross, consider Jesus crucified for you. That is the highest level of love. There is no greater love than that. Let that become bigger and bigger and bigger. I wonder if that's why the Eucharist, communion is just such a big deal. The Catholics, transubstantiation or whatever, they actually believe that his body's right there. I think we're sort of touching on something maybe in faith that, is a helpful perspective shifter, however you land on that,
Yeah. And there's obviously we're not trying to get into the weeds here of people that have their religious views on this. It's just that simplicity of it. If you believe that this is the body and blood of Jesus, okay, but it's that moment that's facilitated by just sitting there and just thinking about it, and then the ripple effect of that is, again, you sit there, you meditate on this, you have a deeper revelation of who Jesus is, what he did for you, you receive that love, and then by default, the things that you're struggling with in your life, they're going to become a lot easier. They're going to become a lot more manageable. And I think that that's the whole point of all of this, is just to be able to tell people that, well, I don't know, drug addict, someone who sell porn / drug addict too, if we can sit here and be able to say, hey, we've overcome these things and have a conversation, and we operate from a place of love and seeing the best in people, well then, guys, this isn't exclusive for us. We're not special. This is for every single person that's hearing this, And so I just hope that, again, It's just encouraging. It doesn't crush people. It doesn't make them think that, oh my gosh, this Jesus, I have to do more. I really hope that this has just been so encouraging, right? For people to go, hey, there is a path, there is a way, there is an option. And even in all the craziness that we were speaking about at the start and all the statistics and all the bad things, there's always an opportunity for something to just shift and change in a really beautiful way.
You could almost say where sin abounds, grace abounds all the more.
Yeah, totally.
I think someone said that one time. Yeah. Okay. The third part of
yeah. Oh my goodness. Okay, guys, back to OnlyFans stuff. Okay. So then the third part of this is recruitment, and so just to touch base for everyone again. So element number 1 is account management. Element number 2 was the marketing, and then element number 3 is recruitment. So we kind of come back into this world that I was in, and what we had seen at the time is that the most money that a girl made at our agency was a girl that we would lie and say that she was fresh 18. And so we ended up kind of like figuring out that the top search categories in porn was teen, fresh teen, and barely legal. So what we would do is you would scour the internet and you would look for girls that looked young. They were already having to post provocative images because that would mean that either they probably are more likely to do something like OnlyFans, or they perhaps already have an OnlyFans. So, and you'll just cold message them and outreach to them and be like, hey, I love your vibe. Have you ever considered doing OnlyFans, or have you ever considered management? And we had this account. And as we've kind of spoken about all these things in life that are trash, like we were throwing parties in like multi-million-dollar mansions. We're hiring yachts. We're hiring the supercars. Like we're throwing these lavish dinners. We're having photo shoots at these mansions and like, all the trash, right? But you'd see this and you're so enticed by it. And you're like, I want that lifestyle. Oh, I have to do OnlyFans to be able to get it. Okay, well, that seems, correlation. These are my dreams. This is the pinnacle of success. If OnlyFans is the gateway to it, then of course, why wouldn't I do it?
Yeah. It's grooming.
It's grooming. Yeah, it totally is. I say to people, again, I think it was an excellent point you made about this isn't hurting anyone.
Yeah.
It's like, well, what we were doing, just say if you had a bunch of women that were standing on a street corner, going up to girls that they thought looked fresh 18, being like, babe, I think you're so cute. Have you ever considered doing porn?
Yeah.
You would probably call the police.
Yeah.
Right? And you'd be like, there's literally predators that are standing on a street corner that's pimping.
Yeah.
It's human trafficking.
It's digital pimping. Yeah.
And so there's no distinction between the two. And so even I guess that's a common argument, I guess, of OnlyFans that people are like, well, it gives the power to the girls and it's more ethical and it's a safer way and there's no manipulation and coercion. I hope that in itself just shatters that illusion that it actually is.
I'm baffled. Anyway, I'm baffled by how people see this as empowering. I've just got such a different worldview now. I'm like, and I don't want to straw man. Like I want to actually try and understand and not judge the motives of people, but I'm trying to get this. Okay, how is this liberation for women? How is this empowerment?
Yeah,
I've never got it. Maybe I don't know. Maybe you can remember what the mentality, what the psyche is there. How is it considered liberating?
I think, and this is like a whole in-depth thing, and people don't really want to acknowledge this. But again, I think because there is such a divide between men and women, and it's subconscious, right? Because broken men hurt women that turn into broken women that hate men. And so if you have a girl, and let's be real, everyone wants to be loved. Everyone wants to be in a relationship and everyone has the dream of a happy ending. But if you have such a broken culture where you have men that are treating women a specific way, and so then women are like, well, okay, my only worth, my only value is all these dudes want to do is just have sex with me and how hot am I? Well, I might as well just go use them anyways. Why wouldn't I go do OnlyFans? That's all my worth is to them anyways.
So I get to use them back. That's the empowering bit.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
so to be empowered, you tap, you
it's just us against them mentality.
Okay. So you level up to the I would call them the atrocious aspects of masculinity, and at least you match them. So you're not being dominated.
Yeah.
You're a dominator too.
Yeah.
Not realizing you're being called into not masculinity. You're being called into childlikeness. That's not a man. That's a child.
Yeah.
That's child. Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah. Because people think they're one-upping each other, but you're not. You're actually like leveling down. But like such a common phrase that you'll hear in this sphere, I guess, is, well, why can't I have sex like a man can have sex? You know, why can't I act like a guy can? Why is it a guy can have his top off, but I can't? Like all these stupid things, right? And so you think it's a one-upman, but it's not. It's the total opposite. So I think for a lot of women, we have a lot of hurt women. We have a lot of disgruntled women. And so they see this as a way to take their power back.
Got it. Okay.
But then do you understand it's just this stupid cycle of hurt men, hurt women, turn into mad women, try to use men, and then just kind of, yeah.
And for like, you know, I have a Christian worldview, obviously, but I just don't, and I think the science will bear this out one day if it doesn't already, but there's no such thing as casual sex. Like there is always a connection. There's always something done to your soul. So yeah, anyway, to aspire to the James Bonds of masculinity, like, you know, an orphan womanizer who's got no family and is emotionally blunted, so doesn't connect with the sex act. That's you're connecting with the worst parts of masculine life, not the best bits.
Yeah, but it comes back to, again, that whole thing, I guess, of, because as soon as you said that, I was like, Batman. Oh my gosh, the amount of men that I dated that like loved Batman because they just wanted to be this rich, aloof womanizer.
Yeah.
And that's supposed to be idolized. And then women think that. That's why a huge conversation that I think is so important is this cultural soft influence manipulation. Because you talk about, well, how do people think this? Well, okay, we already know that from just say a specific OnlyFans perspective, we hired experts that would manipulate algorithms to be able to get girls to go viral with hypersexualized content, right?
Yeah.
So we were getting girls to like 2.2 million views on one TikTok. That's this targeted, provocative thing. So just from the lens of TikTok, you are being inundated with this type of content that's to softly manipulate you to believe that's a desirable woman, and therefore that's how I should act to be a desirable woman. Yeah. Now we zoom out culturally. We have a look at movies. We have a look at advertising. We have a look at TV. Yeah. We are so indoctrinated to be so desensitized to this over-sexualized culture, and it bleeds into everything.
Well, look, Hollywood, the internet, these are just multiplied expressions of the human behavior that's taking place. So it's the law of the jungle. This is what's happening in school playgrounds and university campuses and all of that. When the pretty girl with her clothes off gets the attention.
Yeah, exactly.
And the strong guy who's hard to get, who ignores you, is alluring. It's not, okay, digital stuff plays it out en masse, but really it's human psychology apart from God. But God flips the script. Christians have a different perspective. And I think, like optimistically, it's actually becoming really attractive. Like when you see it, when you see a real man. Yeah. A real man, not a James Bond, not a womanizer, a man with power, a man with self-control and restraint, a man who delays his personal gratification for the protection of you, a man who counts a cost and lays his life down for the other, a man who contends for your virtue, for your purity, who protects your innocence, who covers your sin. You know, a godly marriage in Ephesians 5 is a husband who loves his wife like Christ loves the church.
Yeah.
That picture is so irresistible. Yeah. Because it's better. Not because it's morally superior, because it's better. It's just simply better. And when people are seeing that, I think it's like the trad wife thing. I think it's all of this. People are like, oh, we've tried, we've tasted of life. We don't want it. After the Enlightenment, there's the Renaissance. After trying our own way, after the Bolshevik Revolution, the communists said, let's bring back the family unit. And so my bent is that, you know, you can wait at the bottom of the cliff with an ambulance, or you can get at the top of the cliff with a fence. The fence is healthy Christian marriages showing the whole world what a real man and a woman look like.
Totally.
It's truly irresistible when you actually see a husband loving his wife well. That's my like deepest commitment in all this stuff, is to love my beautiful wife Michaela well and show my girls
my heart. Yeah.
and show my girls what they can look for in a husband.
I'm gonna cry, BJ. It is. Oh my gosh, it's just so sweet. Yeah, it is, and it's the most desirable characteristics and qualities that you can have, and just to champion men to be intentional, have integrity. Like integrity, is everything. Like the amount of exceptional men that I have had the privilege of becoming just platonic friends with in this Christian walk, and you just go, wow, when you see a man that operates in the highest capacity that he was born to be, it is the most beautiful, and it does. And this is what brings unity, right? Yeah. Because then when you see that, you respect it, you champion it, you honor it, but then it does something within you to go, oh my gosh, like to be like, there is hope. We have to champion this more. And men, I don't know if this is controversial to say, but men are so powerful and influential in exactly because if you didn't love your wife well, then you wouldn't be able to love your daughters well. Then your daughters are going to be broken. Then they're going to look for broken relationships. The man is so important. And he needs to be treasured and he needs to be championed.
And take responsibility.
Yeah. And that's where I think that there's been this divide because women are like, well, men are trash. And then that's what creates a soft man. That's what creates a broken man. And then that's dangerous because that's what hurts women. And then it's just this disgusting cycle, you know?
Yeah. And some guys are like, I don't want to be a man. If a man is the one who's a misogynist, violent, abuses women, maybe I'm not a man.
Yeah.
You know, porn teaches you that's what a man is and you got a soft soul. Why would you want to be that? Okay, maybe I'm something else. Maybe I'm some other category. So many Gen Z kids are opting out of adolescence, whether you're formed into a man or a woman, they're opting out because they're like, well, I don't want either of these stereotypes. And but there's a better picture. There's a better story to tell. There's a better picture to give, which is godly family and husbands laying their lives down for their wives, showing the world what Jesus looks like. Yeah, I say this all the time, but like, we tell the gospel of Jesus, we tell people about him, but it's like, it's words and it's important. Words matter. But there's an object lesson that the world is missing. It says, husbands, love your wives as Christ loves the church. So when we do that, when we love our wives properly, when we lay our lives down for them, we give the world a little lift the hood, give them a little look at what Jesus looks like. It's you can see it. You don't need to be told. You can look at it, observe it. I think that if I could give my life to anything, if I could die on that hill, it would be that hill.
PJ, I think I need to like sit in a dark corner for a minute and just like process this. It is. Man, it's so sweet. It's so beautiful. It just, it is. And that's what we should all, man, that's probably a tangent in itself. I don't know if we want to go there, but.
What? That would be the first tangent
I
today.
know, we've not side quested at all in this. But I think that it's something that truly we should desire. Like, I know that you and I are sitting here on a podcast and on a screen and whatever, but guys, like I was having this conversation with my pastor actually on Sunday. And I was saying to her, I was like, I think that we really do have it all twisted. I was like, we desire, again, all the wrong things. And I'm like, I look at some pastors that I know that, and not to negate the calling on people's lives, but I'm like, they're traveling the world, they're ministering. I was like, I can't imagine how lonely they are, living out of a suitcase, traveling all different time zones, having no community, having no stability, just going here, there, and everywhere. And then they're not building right now. And again, like, I hope people don't hear what I'm not saying, but they're not building a relationship. They're not building a family. They're not building a legacy. And it's like those things, because exactly that's what makes an impact. If you can literally have that nuclear family and then create that generational change, that is so significant for our world.
Victoria, it's systemic. Up until the 90s, if you're a Christian missionary, think this through, like pastors, top tier Christians are pastors, right up there as missionaries. Up until like the 90s, it was standard practice in many missional organizations for missionary boarding school, primary school age. So your primary school kids were sent to missionary boarding school and then you got on with God's work, separated from your family.
Whoa.
Thank God we don't think that way anymore, but it reveals a mindset that existed. Family is secondary, ministry is first. It is completely upside down.
Yeah.
Here's the hierarchy of my life. It's so clear. Number one, my relationship with God, my ministry to him. Number two, my relationship with my wife, Michaela. That's above even my kids.
Yeah.
Number three, my relationship with my children, my nuclear family. Number 4, it'll be like my parents, my siblings, my, extended friends and all of that. Number 5 is what I do, my ministry. Now, that's not to say my ministry of the gospel is not important. Of course it is. It's just to say I'm going to that place from a healthy family, from healthy relationships. Then what I'm producing is healthy.
Yeah.
You can't try and export healthy family into your church. You hear it all the time. Like, welcome to the church family. Yeah, but if your actual biological family is not healthy, what are you reproducing?
You can't replicate it.
Yeah, so
totally.
Like, do that. And I think, a famous pastor I know said that. He said, I only wanted to be a good dad and a good husband. And then what God did with that was take it and export that to our church. And it became healthy. Like, get the order right. It's a qualification in Timothy for elders and deacons, right? To be, to have healthy families.
Yeah, it is. It's
or be single, and that's totally fine too. There's not, you don't need to be.
I'll be single. Yeah, but
well, Paul says it's better. He says it's superior.
He does. I think that look, it is. Like, I was thinking about that as well today. I was like, wow, there's no accountability like to a partner. I can travel the world for the Lord. I can drop anything but I think that a desire that it is superior. Like, I'm not trying to negate scripture, but I think it's just also different because I'm like, but when you come into a relationship, there's a level of humility and service that you will not experience unless you're in a relationship, and the refining of that, and the having to have someone hold a mirror to you, because a marriage, not married, but I think that the lens as well is supposed to fulfill you, but in a lot of what I'm studying and learning and talking to really healthy couples, it makes you holy.
It's the crushing.
It's the crushing.
you get into a marriage, and before you're married, you think you're not selfish.
Yeah.
And then you get into a marriage, you're like, oh my goodness, I've been so selfish. And then you have kids, and then you realize, wow, I really was so selfish.
Yeah.
And you just get crushed in a beautiful way. We should explain. Crush means like a good thing. It's like,
okay, guys, it's a really good thing.
Yeah, you explain.
I don't even know if I have the right vocabulary for it, but guys, crushing is, think of like the simplistic way to put it is all of the yucky. Like, I'm just going to put this in the easiest terminology possible, but you have to squeeze out all of the yuckiness to leave the good stuff. And that doesn't feel very good, And so in the process of getting out all of those deep heart wounds, sin issues, whatever it is, you have to be squished to get it out.
Yeah.
And that's a really painful process.
Yeah.
And it's humbling and it's vulnerable and it's raw. But then the remnants means that all of that yuckiness is gone. And then you're just left with something that is beautiful and pure and holy, and it brings you so much joy. And so you have to go through the crushing to be able to have all the good things. And then that way you can also impart that to other people,
Beautiful. I think the Orthodox Church has this idea called a baptism of fire. It's just expected that if you're a new Christian, you're going to go through fire.
Yeah.
And God will use that to refine you, bring up impurities in your character, deal with them bit by bit, and purify you. The ongoing sanctification, it's amazing. So if I just to come back to, I don't even know, a million things, but to come back to this idea. So there was a time when you were involved in basically the grooming of teen girls. Like the recruitment thing was you now see it as like there's a whole industry that wants to exploit vulnerability, wants to manipulate people into, effectively you're making sex slaves, you're making porn stars, you're making prostitutes, one way or another. This is what you're contributing to, and it's got its own language to make that seem normal. You're doing adult entertainment. These are well-paid people who are liberated, blah, blah, blah. And but you began seeing it was not cool.
Yeah. So I'm working at this agency. My role, as I said, was mainly marketing. And so I was seeing all the forward-facing things, and I've already explained the lens of what I thought about the agency. But over time, when we were impersonating people, we had realized that if you're a subscriber and you're talking to a girl on OnlyFans and you're talking to a girl on social media, and we're not communicating as the management team behind the scenes, well, the subscriber is starting to pick up on the holes in our story. So what we did is we changed the company structure and we went from me doing the full girls for marketing and then the account manager doing all the girls for account managing. We split the girls in half and then you would do the full life cycle. And so now I'm jumping on the back end and I'm seeing porn for the first time because I've never actually been exposed to pornography. I've never been a consumer of it. So I'm seeing porn for the first time. And now over time, I've actually built relationships with these girls. And so I'm seeing the acts that they're doing and I'm going, wait a minute. I'm like, but you're really funny. You're really generous. You have really good family values. And this is what we're promoting. And the only way I can explain it is I just felt like I was malfunctioning. I was just like, I don't know what, I can't watch this. This is just, that's it. And so I'm crying every day. I can't open up my laptop. I can't do my job. And I just started to ask questions to people at the agency. What do you think about what we're doing? And people were like, it's like a safe injecting heroin room. People need a safe place to do drugs. We give people a safe place to do porn. And I just wasn't satisfied with any of those answers. And I mentioned how we're the parties and the lifestyle, right? And so the drinking's out of control now. The drugs are out of control. I'm staying up for days. I'm not coping. And I just went, nothing's working anymore. And I'm not feeling good. So I have to do something to feel better. And I was like, well, maybe if I do like a big enough act of good, that'll offset all the bad that I'm doing and that'll make me feel better. And so I had this like random thought and I was like, oh, I was 25 at the time. I've just turned 27 in April and I just turned 25. And I was like, oh, when I was like 8 or 9, we like stopped going to this church, but I'd remembered they had like a refugee program. That's what I thought. And I was like, sick. That's a big enough act of good. I'll go overseas. I'll help a bunch of refugees. I'll feel better about myself. I'll offset all the bad. And I was like, we were building a cannabis company at the time as well. So I was like, sick. I just throw that in there.
Living the dream.
I was just living the dream, man. Again, the things that people say is the pinnacle and it's trash. Actually, no, let's not. That's a tangent. I'm going to tell you about.
You're already on a lot of hit lists. You may as well just go for it.
It's so funny whenever I come to Sydney. So with this cannabis company, we were looking for investors. We needed like $2 million, like type of thing. We'd met someone who told us he was going to give us a $2 million. We flew to Sydney, fully expectant to be able to get this startup money. We got involved with gangsters and we ended up almost having to flee Sydney because we thought they were going to kill us.
Okay, that's different startup life.
That's a different startup life. Anyway, so I always laugh when I'm in Sydney because I just think about that. It was a wild 5 days.
You've got angels now. I guess you'll be okay.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But anyways, so we were going to do this cannabis company and we're at that point of basically, anyways, that was going to start. So my lens was I'll go overseas, I'll help refugees. By the time I come back, the cannabis company will be up and running and I don't have to work at the OnlyFans agency anymore. Genius. So I Googled this church and I did this application for like this outreach program and I found out months later that that application never went to the outreach department, but instead the young adults pastor got an email and it said, Victoria wants to reach out to the church. Here's her number. Call her. So I get a call from this young adults pastor one day and she goes, hey, I heard you want to come down to church. And I'd like alluded to what was going on, but obviously I'm not going to tell some Christian person that like I sell porn. And so she invited me to church on a Thursday. And like PJ, I remember sitting in my car and I remember I'm at the front of this church and this voice was just screaming, you can't go in there. You're such a bad person. You're going to burst into flames. And so I'm sitting there and I'm just wrestling and I'm like, look, Vic, you're here. There's someone waiting for you. Just go inside.
Follow through.
Yeah. And so I went in and literally for like 3 hours, I word vomit to this poor girl. I don't know, I sell porn. I also sell cannabis and people tell me that it's wrong. I mean, but no, I feel like it's wrong. People tell me that it's good. Like all the things.
Yeah.
And this beautiful woman just goes, I really think you should come to church this Sunday. I think you'll really resonate with our guest speaker. So I rock up to church on the Sunday and this guest speaker in church, and you know who she is, Melinda Tankard-Rees, is talking about OnlyFans and she's talking about porn in church.
Like divine providence. Like what are the
chances? Literally. And I found out the series of events, she wasn't supposed to be there that weekend. They were going to do something else, like all the things to have her be in that church that Sunday, right?
Yeah.
And she said this line though as she was speaking. And she goes, Christians are supposed to be the salt and the light of the earth, and they have failed, and we are destroying the next generation. And it just clicked something in my heart. Yeah. And I went, she's right. This is wrong. What we're doing is wrong. We're hurting people. And so I'm like in the balcony, like at the back, right? Yeah. But when she finished speaking, I literally ran up to her. And I went up to her and I said, hi, my name's Victoria. I work for an OnlyFans agency and I hate myself. And Melinda was so beautiful. She didn't do what I thought Christians would do and judge me and tell me like all these things. She goes, let's have lunch. And she had lunch with me and she sat with me for hours and she answered my questions. Isn't this ethical porn? Isn't this liberating? Isn't this a positive? And she just gave me the truth. And I think this is really significant because a lot of people have said, well, did they mention Jesus? Did you do a salvation prayer? No one Christianized me. No one, like, I wasn't a pet project to convert. But in that moment, I was just a human. And Melinda was just sitting there and she just gave me time. She gave me grace and she answered my questions in truth. And that was so powerful in itself that I left that day and I was like, I have to quit. I don't know what this Jesus thing is. But I have to follow it. And Jesus' name was never mentioned, but I just knew in my heart. And so that was on a Friday. By the Sunday, I quit. Other way around. That was on a Sunday. Then by the Friday, I quit. Walked away from everything. 8 weeks later, I'm sober, I'm baptized. And now almost every single day since then, it's almost been 2 years, I've been talking about this story.
Praise God that's what happened. Oh my goodness.
Jesus.
And what do you do now? I remember we talked maybe a few months ago and you're like, I help Christian content creators go viral. I used to, whatever you say, I used to help groom porn stars or whatever it was, some language. You're like, now I help Christian content creators go viral.
Yeah. So the back end of what I do is, I do consultancy work with like non-for-profits and countercultural voices. And I believe that if we can inundate social media with hypersexualized content, we can inundate it with countercultural voices to see a new culture being built. And so that's my dream, to be able to help people build their dreams, to be able to see a better world. And so that's what I do on the back end. And then obviously front facing is all the activism stuff. Yeah.
Incredible. Thank God for your courage, your story, your wisdom. You know how God has obviously graced you to be a voice in our the generations to come, and I'm so glad you're doing it. Thank you, thank you, thank you. On behalf of the body of Christ, what you're doing is incredible. It's so important.
Thanks, PJ. Jesus is so good, but thank you.
He is worthy. He's worth it. We might call it there, and I just want to say thanks for coming on. I can't wait to keep watching what God does through you, and hopefully we get to catch up again.
Yeah, thank you. This has been so much fun. Yeah, thank you for having me.
Very welcome. Pleasure.